Welcome back. Now let's do some other stories. And the Doctors Association at the Tamale Teaching Hospital has issued a stern warning of potential industrial action, expressing deep frustration over what they describe as a chronic shortage of essential medical supplies and a growing culture of scapegoating healthcare professionals for poor patient outcome. In a statement released Tuesday, the association lamented the consistent lack of basic resources needed to deliver quality healthcare, warning that the situation has reached a breaking point. Their warning comes in the wake of the dismissal of the hospital's chief executive officer by the Minister for Health, Akandoh, over some altercation. We'll share some details of that statement shortly, but first, a recap of what transpired at the Tamale Teaching Hospital Tuesday.
And lights have been lost. That's why it's blown up. If you have that mindset,
when Health Minister Akandoh clashed with staff over broken down medical equipment. The minister, clearly frustrated, discovered key machines had been out of service for months, even after the hospital spent its internally generated funds trying to fix them.
And then they were able to revive one. We paid them from our IGF. And this is the second thing, the light has gone off. We're running on generator. And we're burning diesel to man the whole hospital.
Just hours before his arrival, a patient had died, an incident that only heightened the minister's anger.
As I speak to you now, we have thanked him for his services he has delivered at the Tamale Teaching Hospital, and we think that somebody else must come and continue as the CEO of the facility.
So he has been sacked?
Exactly.
With immediate effect?
With immediate effect.
Akandoh also announced a tough new policy. Public hospitals must now fix their own broken equipment using their IGF. No more waiting on government.
we are expecting government to either replace it or maintain it. There will be a new government policy directive where a special escrow account will be created for all our equipment.
The minister is expected to pay similar visits to more public hospitals across the country. For Joy News, Michael Ashale.
Well, in a statement issued today, the Doctors Association at the Tamale Teaching Hospital says the firing of the CEO should not serve as a convenient response to systemic issues plaguing the health sector. And this is the statement that the hospital, the Doctors Association at the Tamale Teaching Hospital issued this morning. And that's what you have on your screens now. And they give us a background of the situation at the Tamale Teaching Hospital and what the minister saw and how it happened, the conclusion, and they think that the entire issue was not handled properly. And they would like to say that their colleague, the chief executive who has now been dismissed, has worked tirelessly to support patients' care at the Accident and Emergency Center and has always discharged his duties professionally and diligently. The media, in a reportage, according to them, painted a picture to the general public that has tarnished the image and reputation of the very hard-working CEO of the hospital. And so they conclude in this statement with a warning that they may undertake industrial action pending. It's the whilst we await the outcome of the committee inquiry formed to investigate the matter. The Hospital Doctors Association would want to reiterate its unwavering support for our colleague, the CEO, the former CEO, who has demonstrated exemplary leadership and his units and whose only crime was pointing out problems in the facility, needing urgent attention to improve care. And they stand in solidarity with their colleague and will resist any action to hamper his ability to discharge his duties. And they end by saying that they will advise themselves and take actions that may not guarantee industrial harmony. And this is signed by the Association of Doctors in the Tamale Teaching Hospital. Now, meanwhile, the Minority Health Caucus, or the minority group on the Health Committee in Parliament, they've strongly condemned the dismissal of Dr. Adam Atiku, CEO of the Tamale Teaching Hospital, by the Health Minister. And they are describing the move as unlawful and lacking due process, citing breaches of statutory procedure and principles of natural justice. The caucus warns that the minister's action threatens institutional integrity and professional morale within the health sector. And we can listen to the site when they pay a when they inspected some ongoing works at the Kumasi Regional Hospital. We don't have the queue. So this is a statement from the minority side. Well, again, a lot of statements coming through. The Ghana Medical Association, they also demand an immediate reversal of the decision and formal apology to Dr. The CEO of the Tamale Teaching Hospital, the former CEO, who they say was publicly berated during the minister's visit. And I brought the minority statement early on. The Ghana Medical Association, they've also issued a statement making the same point on this particular matter. Right, so let me bring in Mr. Austin Game. He's a labor expert on this matter. Mr. Game, good afternoon and welcome to the Pulse.
Yeah.
Right, so this incident that took place at the Tamale Teaching Hospital, the altercation, the back and forth between the minister and staff of the hospital, I don't think it is something that you would encourage.
Certainly not. Certainly not. Well, the interesting thing is that you and I live in Accra here. The minister also lives in Accra. For him to plane down to Tamale specifically for this purpose, shows that he's been informed about a certain concern in the hospital. Hence, he went there. The question is that the only way outlet for him? If it is about negligence of duty resulting in the death of somebody, yes, it's a grievous offense, an ultimate offense in the calendar of labor relations, and therefore the employer under the circumstance, if it's right, if the employer finds that what has taken place is such a grievous offense that I must act immediately, the law says the employer who has that right can dismiss a worker even without giving notice to the worker, if he has the right to do that. If it's an offense that must be investigated and later the person may either be made to either resign, mutual separation, or termination, that also is a different story.
Right.
But when it comes to an ultimate decision, like an offense that is considered to be grievous, you don't let the person stay whilst you are investigating. You can dismiss the fellow, and you are not far from right because the law permits you to do that. That said, is up to the two sides everybody who is talking about the matter. They are all here in Accra. Right. They may not know what went on. And so we are jumping the gun, and that's why I brought in the law by saying that the law says and the practice says if the offense is grievous, it is as such that you cannot wait. Then you have to dismiss the fellow, but the fellow has the right to petition and be heard.
Right. So I'm going through the Ghana Medical Association statement that just came through. And part of it says the manner in which the dismissal was carried out is an affront to due process and abuse of power by the Honorable Minister for Health. The GMA stands in solidarity with our colleague in the wake of these injustices being perpetuated. The association also criticized what it called media audits of the recent patient death at the facility, warning that it breached patient confidentiality and exposed the hospital to legal risks whilst prejudicing public opinion. First, let's start with due process. The GMA position is that due process was not followed. The man in question was not given the opportunity to defend himself. The manner in which he was dismissed flies in the face of, laid down principles.
Chief, I've just said something. I know we are all not at the same pace, but the reality is this. Under the law, Section 30, Subsection 3, if the employer took notice that a worker has negligently done something that ultimately brought the hospital, in this case, on its knees, and that people are beginning to feel not having confidence in the facility. The employer has the right. Let's put the minister, maybe minister is the one creating the problem. The employer has the right, if the offense is such grievous offense, to dismiss the fellow without notice. That is the law. That is actually the practice also.
Right.
Now, when the offense is reasonably minimal, that the person is wounded, the person is left to some risk, but is not grievous, then you are talking about either putting the person out of work and investigation is being done. It's a different story. This one, you are not even going to be given notice. If they found you that you have stolen something, that they have to deal with the matter immediately. It's not about what people say, they let you go stay home, and then you come and face a committee. You are dismissed because the offense is like a first-degree felony, type of case. It's bad to the extent that the employer cannot hold you on. You will not even be terminated. You will not be made to resign. There will be no mutual separation. There will be dismissal. And I've mentioned Section 33.
Yeah, I know
that
you have.
One,
I know you have.
Even if you have accumulated leave,
yes,
you will not take the accumulated leave. You have forfeited it.
No, I brought back the subjects, even though you've referenced the law. I brought out the subject because of the GMA's warning that the conclusion that the hospital has done something wrong, leading to the dismissal of the CEO, exposes the hospital to legal risks because of the matter in question.
What is the matter? Is that somebody is alleged
died.
To have, they've committed negligence and somebody died. Is that not the case?
Exactly.
So, if in the opinion of the employer, GMA is not the employer, the hospital association people are not employers, the people in town are not employers, somebody have been designated as the employer. That employer is the one who must ensure that the protection of all of us are adhered to. The association has the right as a union to come to the rescue of their people, but they are not supposed to threaten anybody. They are not supposed to do that.
And then they even made the point
that's not the practice.
And then the doctors at the hospital, in a statement that they issued also this morning, concludes by saying that we may be forced to take, to disturb the industrial harmony in the hospital if these matters are done the way it's been done. Are they just moving too fast?
All of them are not adhering to the principles enshrined in the law and the practice that we all know. I am saying that if someone, I'm number one to say that if someone is being maltreated by any employer wrongly, I will come to the rescue of the person. I'm saying the GMA has every right to go to the rescue of their person, but they must do it within the confines of the law and best practice. As for political office holders, it's a different ballgame altogether. We are talking about employer-worker relations.
Right.
That is what it is now. And I think that we need to learn lessons from this. I hope the present system we are running, we can open up and educate the public sufficiently on the labor law and best practices as far as industrial relations. Ghana is not an island. We are among a community of nations. The same best practices are everywhere. If you misbehave, you can be dealt with by the employer as swiftly as possible. But I am not in support of any error on the part of any employer. I will go onto the side which is right. That's my point of view.
And then finally, before I let you go, are you in support of some of these surprise visits by ministers of state to state institutions? The minister appears to be enjoying this and is bringing to the fore the challenges happening in some of our hospitals. First was the Rage Hospital, and now the Tamale Teaching Hospital. Is this something that you would encourage?
It is appropriate and very important because we don't need armchair ministers. the ministers must go out on a surprise visit. The ministers must go out on programmed visits and so forth and so on. Indeed, the Labor Department, properly so Labor Inspection Division, should have been doing surprise visits to every business, both private and public, and come out with some of these things. It wouldn't have been even the minister if the Labor Inspection Division is properly equipped and they can go out and do surprise visits. A lot of things would have been happening other than the minister being the one saying it. They would have sent a report on a labor situation report. They would have taken it to the highest level, and the dismissal, all the same, would have taken place.
All right. Mr. Agami, thank you so much for your time. Let me cross over to Alhassan Suhuyini. Alhassan Suhuyini is the Member of Parliament for Tamale North, and he is also joining us. I'm getting text messages. People have interest in this matter. Right, so we'll deal with this matter. But let me bring in Alhassan Suhuyini. So Suhuyini, I saw you in the video, and I was wondering, what is the Deputy Minister for Roads doing in the hospital? Then I realized that you are a Member of Parliament for Tamale. So I'm wondering, does the hospital fall in your constituency?
Not exactly, but if you know Tamale well, you know that we also qualify to be described as Greater Tamale.
Great.
Many of the communities are almost together, and because of that, we tend to collaborate a lot as members of Parliament who work in the Greater Tamale. Besides, if you look at the hospital in question, it is a referral hospital, for the 5 northern regions and beyond. And so it is of interest to every opinion leader, every, community member when it comes to its operations and the conditions of service that, is provided at the hospital. Unfortunately, I was in town when the minister was visiting the place. And as a colleague member of Parliament, I was grateful.
And then I saw you clearly, you were unhappy with the way the exchanges went, and wondering whether, I don't know whether, for want of a better word, what I want to describe, perhaps disrespectful attitude that was shown to a Minister of State and Member of Parliament for that matter.
And so let me use your question as an opportunity to correct a number of misconceptions out there. Because if we do not correct those misconceptions, we will, in the end, make hasty decisions based on hasty conclusions, which will not resolve the concrete problems that the hospital is currently faced with. First of all, the CEO who was dismissed is not the same doctor who you saw in the exchanges with.
Right.
In the Dr. Valentine. A very, very hard-working doctor, we are told, a celebrated medical practitioner of that hospital. Nothing has happened to that doctor. No one has asked for any disciplinary measures to be taken against that doctor. He is still at post, as far as I know. He has not even been questioned by any authority ever since the incident happened yesterday. That doctor is not the chief executive officer of the hospital. I need to make that point strongly.
Right.
And that doctor seen in the video has not been questioned by any superior authority since after that incident. Now, how did that situation happen? In his very eloquent, delivery on why the emergency ward, the red zone especially, sometimes get frustrated in dealing with emergencies that come to them, he made a statement I personally considered unfortunate. He talked about the lack of ventilators. He talked about the pressures they go through and the sacrifices that they make, which were very, very beautifully and eloquently, narrated to the minister. But along the line, he said he did not understand why this particular matter, referring to the recent death, was blown out of proportion.
Right.
That is when I stepped in. And I appealed to him not to say that again because of the sensibilities of the families involved. And that he could go ahead to talk about their frustrations and the help that they will need to serve the people better without suggesting that one life lost is not enough to be blown out of proportion. I made the point strongly to him that one life lost is enough to be blown out of proportion so that measures will be taken to prevent other lives from being lost.
Right.
He wouldn't take that from me and insisted that we were not understanding him. At that point, and I want us all to, disabuse our minds of any bias and listen and watch the videos. At that point, the Minister of Health asked us to leave because he wouldn't take my advice that he should not say the matter is being blown out of proportion. But whilst we're walking away, his CEO asked him to stop talking. But he was still insisting that we were misunderstanding him and that he said nothing wrong by saying that the matter is blown out of proportion. That is when the minister turned back and said to him that, my brother, calm down. You see, we are supposed to be your superiors as Minister of Health. And if you will not even take this advice from us and you are insisting on your right this way, can you imagine what you will do to an ordinary citizen who comes there and wants to inquire about anything? And that is why I think there's a problem here, and that is why I'm here. And that is where it ended, and we walked away. And nothing has happened to that said doctor. We understand he's a very hardworking doctor. We understand he makes a lot of sacrifices in the course of the discharge of his duties. We appreciate that. And we think that should not, lead him to forget about the sensibilities of the people. But even having said that, we do not expect any disciplinary measures to be taken against him because he was simply being assertive. But perhaps if he had taken our advice not to suggest that the matter is being blown out of proportion, we would not be here. But the decision to dismiss the CEO had nothing absolutely to do with that altercation. The decision to dismiss
is entirely different.
The
decision is entirely different from what happened yesterday.
Absolutely. The decision to dismiss the CEO is part of the ministry's decision, the part of ministry's program and agenda to, if you like, reset the hospital. We believe that it is not enough to remove the CEO, but subsequent measures are going to be taken. Look, as we speak with you, at least I can disclose that I know that the whole day today, the Minister of Health has been working to get some more ventilators, which I believe will be delivered to the hospital before the end of the week. I'm very confident about that. So it is not like the minister is not aware of the challenges that the hospital is faced with.
Right.
And the minister has taken no offense that Dr. Valentine, challenged us when we suggested he should not be saying that the matter is being blown out of proportion. As for his, knowledge in the help that they will need, no one has questioned that. And that is why I'm surprised about the statement of the Ghana Medical Association. They're asking us to apologize for exactly what? For being seen arguing with a doctor in a hospital? The minister should apologize? Or what exactly did they hear or see? That myself and the minister must apologize. Why? For being seen arguing with a medical doctor, it is wrong. And the minister must apologize. The deputy minister of Rose must apologize for being seen in a video arguing with a doctor, because we're telling the doctor that he should not say that the death of Salim, a 31-year-old, is being blown out of proportion. He shouldn't say that. Nothing has happened to the doctor. He has not been called to appear before any disciplinary measure. And we are asked to apologize.
Honorable, if I get you right, then there appears to be a lot of misunderstanding around this particular matter. Because even going through the GMA statement, the manner in which the dismissal was carried out is an affront to due process and abuse of power by the honorable minister. The GMA signing, and then it goes on to say all of this. And so clearly, there appears to be some misunderstanding.
Absolute misconception, mispresentation. The CEO's, dismissal is part of administrative measures that the ministry had already put in place to reset the hospital. It had nothing to do with the altercation that happened there yesterday. And the doctor involved in that altercation with myself and the minister is not the CEO of the hospital. And the doctor will answer any question whatsoever. So what apology is demanded for being seen on a video? It's a crime. It is wrong. It is bad for myself and the minister to be advising the doctor not to say the matter is being blown out of proportion, and so we should apologize. I mean, really, let us take our time when these things happen, get the facts right, so that we use emotions to throw the baby away with the bathwater. We all want a functioning health institution. We want a hospital that is, providing the services for which it has been established, and providing also the environment that is conducive enough for health workers to discharge their duties admirably.
My final question before I let you go. I mean, it is the bigger issue here is making the Tamale Hospital respond adequately to the health needs of the people within the catchment area and even beyond, because you are a member of parliament for Tamale. I'm sure you are privy to every challenge from the main entrance to the very end of the hospital. Apart from the minister's intervention to get ventilators to the hospital, what for you should be the immediate concern government to apprise itself with in terms of retooling and making the hospital more responsive to the health needs of the people?
Look, apart from the hard issues like power, like water, like ventilators, the other issues that people often complain about when you interact with them in the communities are the soft ones, like attitude of health professionals. And for us, yesterday's engagement with the doctor and the video that has gone viral was testimony of how sometimes our health professionals, maybe due to frustration, and maybe because they sometimes are at their wits' ends when it comes to the sacrifices that they make, tend to lose sight of the sensibilities of patients and clients who access these hospitals. And that is what we just sought to do. But I think that at the meeting yesterday, the minister identified, together with the management, the need for government to immediately tackle the water situation. And before we even left the hospital, the minister had started speaking with the Minister for Water Resources, Works and Housing, to see how they can get a dedicated water service, a pipeline that will serve the hospital.
Tamale water issue goes bigger than the hospital.
Exactly. Tamale, everybody, that's what I was going to say. The Tamale water crisis is well known to everybody, but it is not as if there is lack of their water. And so available plan is to work with to make a dedicated line perhaps available the hospital, same as power.
All right, we'll leave it here for now. We pray that something is really done immediately, because healthcare is key. You don't know when you might need healthcare in any circumstances. You are taken to a hospital, and then you are saddled with all manner of things, from attitude of health professionals to non-functioning hospital equipment, into even the environment you will sleep in to receive healthcare.
Let me look. Yeah. Me will be traveling sharp and by a session. The talking down. So for over now, I was scandalized when I learned that instead of repairing this MRI machine, sometimes they pick parts from the machine to service other MRI machines. You can imagine it is nobody is inspected from to doctors sometimes when they need to use the facility. And so it is best of everybody that we put our heads together and put emotions aside and get the institution to function. And once again, I thank you for the opportunity. But let me get to the point that you find in the video with the minister is not the CEO. And the doctor in the video with the minister has not been sanctioned by anybody, hasn't been asked to appear before any, disciplinary committee for anything because he did nothing wrong. All that we sought to draw his attention to was not to suggest that the death of Saleh 31 year is being blown out of proportion.
Thank you so much. Al-Hassan Sugini is a member of parliament for Tamale North and deputy minister for roads and highways. Thankfully, we've also been joined by the general secretary of the Ghana Medical Association, Dr. Richard Salome. Dr. Salome, good to have you here on the pause. You issued a statement demanding an apology. Now, the clarity Al-Hassan Sugini, the MP for Tamale North and deputy minister for roads, is bringing to this discussion is that the doctor at the emergency session has not been sacked. In fact, he's not even going through any disciplinary process. Rather, the person who has been sacked is the CEO of the hospital, and he says that you've gotten it wrong.
Thank you, Elton, for the opportunity. Clearly, the minister either has chosen not to read or is being very, very disingenuous. The statement we have issued is clear and straight to the point. Probably you need to read it to his hearing, if maybe he hasn't read it. We specifically condemned how the dismissal went, even though we acknowledge the fact that the minister has the power to hire and fire. Right. We just felt that we haven't seen any letter. We heard it in the media. They were reported that it was because of the negligence. He is now claiming that it was already in process, administrative issue to reset the hospital. Fine, that is so. But if he reads our statement, he will know that that was not it. Number two, he is trying to gaslight the association, and pretentiously so, by making statements that we were reacting in a certain way because we saw a video of them questioning a doctor. We are not claiming doctors are gods, but he should know better that inquest into death of any human being is not a public event. And that is why when mortality audits or clinical audits are organized, it is not even open for external sources. It has to be done first before it is then proceeded from the hospital to take certain actions or not, or escalated up depending on what. If you have any challenges, you can proceed to any of the regulatory bodies. Nobody does inquests on camera. It has issues of patients' confidentiality, patients' details will come out, probably even some family members don't know. It has risks for public confidence in healthcare. And it also has serious implications. Now that the doctor is being threatened, he is the MP, is he there to protect the doctor? So I think he must stop that. If he is trying to make the call at the end, that we should sit and stop being emotional.
And this threat is coming from who, Dr. Salome?
I expect himself to be to read our statement carefully and then respond properly to it than how he's trying to go the tangent that is just because they are questioning a doctor. No.
Dr. Salome, who is threatening this doctor? Who is threatening this doctor?
Social media has been sent messages saying that he's killed the patient. People are on his page cyberbullying him. People are sending messages to the wife and his family. And the MP is there saying that it's because they've questioned him. Who says nobody can question the doctor? He in particular was shouting at the doctor, if your minister is this, then it means that he has been acting worse. When the doctor in his constituency has been using his money to fund water for the emergency, has he, as the MP, in or out of government, fetched water for that emergency to function? So I think we must move away from this thing of trying to scapegoat people and then gaslight them subsequently and try to blame them for systemic issues that really are out of their view. We have not said that he has been invited. He can go and read our statement. We have not said that he has been sanctioned. So wherever he's reading that from, I don't know. But that is maybe another statement he is reading from. It is not our statement. We have not said that the doctor has been punished. We have not said he has been sanctioned. How they spoke to him was disrespectful and has dampened the guy's commitment, his spirit. And today, junior doctors working under him are saying that if their boss can be abused like this in public for something that they are totally is out of their control, then how is their own future going to be? And they are calling a meeting to decide what they want to do. How do you expect us to continue encouraging people to stay?
Dr. Valentine, as far as we know, has not been sacked. He's not going to any disciplinary hearing. The person who has been sacked is
But we have not said so. Have we said so?
And then you made a point that there's
no,
a
I'm
quote
saying,
here.
Elton, kindly admit to that. Have we said so in our statement? You have read it. Have we said so?
No, in your comments you made early on, it sort of suggests that the link was to Dr. Valentine and not the CEO, the former CEO.
I never said so. I said that the man has not been punished, but he, Dr. Valentine, has been threatened. Even mentioning his name is not for his own safety.
Okay.
I didn't say the CEO has been, and our statement never said so. So he should withdraw that comment and do the right thing.
I'll bring it. Yes.
Let me conclude. The thing is this, that there are issues that are systemic, and we expect that is done. There are also issues that the man has explained. There's something that has occurred. People have taken to social media blaming the hospital. The hospital has responded saying they are going to have a formal inquiry into the matter. Why don't you allow the hospital to go into it, find the people who are culpable, and then deal with them? If you are dissatisfied, you can even come in and deal with the issues. You, the MP and co, are making prejudicial statements, prejudging the matter that negligence has occurred. What are you doing? If the hospital finds out that it's actually not negligence, because negligence is not a common word, it's a legal term in medical legal practice, which has certain criteria that must be fulfilled. If they find out that it is not negligence and it actually goes against the declaration by you, what then? How will that statement even be trusted? So these are serious matters, and people are on the ground sacrificing their lives day by day and putting their efforts in. You saw one of the nurses speak up for the head of department, telling you that even at the peril of when the exchanges were going on, telling you that as for his head of department, he even uses his personal money to buy water for that emergency when they don't have water, and that she can vouch on any day for the doctor. So this is not somebody, and he is a consultant, a senior specialist for that matter, and always at work putting his best in. So let's not demoralize health workers by trying to blame long-time systemic issues on them. I would have heard from him was that you could call these people, even granted they did wrong, into a boardroom. Tamale Teaching Hospital has a boardroom. You can address these issues in camera, punish people in camera to achieve the same effect. But not when there's this antagonistic shouting at him, trying to tell him not to talk and all that. So I think that let's if he wants calm heads to prevail, he should stop trying to gaslight, saying things we never said in our statement and try to attribute it to us, trying to gaslight and say just because a doctor. We don't have any problem with him, and no doctor is above reproach. We have no problem as GMA covering any doctor who does any wrong thing. But we don't interrogate people's deaths on camera with TV around and trying to say this. Again, in their interrogation, they say if the ventilators were not available, what they should be doing something in the meantime. My brother, the meantime is that they are bagging the person. The meantime is that you need a ventilator for that person to be intubated and be on at that very moment. It is not that head of department's job to procure that ventilator. Neither is it any magic he can do between this. The person needs that item at that very moment. So you cannot tell a pilot to fly to UK and tell him there's no plane to fly. Let me allow
the Honourable Member of Parliament for Tamale North to come in here. Honourable Suhini, please.
Let me appeal to my brother, the General Secretary, that look, there's a need for us to calm down and listen to the issues and separate them. The dismissal of the CEO, in which negligence has been attributed to him, had nothing to do with the death. We went to the hospital. The minister, for example, complained about the broken down machines that have not been repaired for over 4 years. The insanitary conditions of the hospital that in some cases if the management of the hospital was, alive to its responsibilities. So when people say negligence, and that's the reason the CEO has been sacked, it's because neglect its duties when it comes to managing the hospital. And that had nothing to do with the death of the gentleman. So there's a need for us to separate the dismissal of the CEO from, the death of the 31-year-old gentleman that has led to media campaigns by community members in Tamale asking the government to fix the hospital. There are two separate things. So the minister gets there, he realizes that, well, the deterioration of the hospital is really that bad. And he thinks that something must be done about the management, starting with the CEO, and he fires the CEO. It has nothing to do with the death. What he did regarding the death was to announce a 3-member committee to investigate the circumstances that led to the death. That is what he has done. Set up a 3-member committee that is expected to investigate the circumstances of the death. And my brother keeps referring to the engagement with the doctor as questioning. Nobody questioned the doctor. Just as is usually done, the minister was being taken around and being briefed on what he was seeing. And so where he had questions, he asked. But what happened was not questioning. What happened that became the trend was not questioning. I will call it advice. Because when the doctor spoke very well, in fact, I admired the way he explained the problems that they are faced with at the red zone and the equipment that they will need and the challenges that they go through and the sacrifices that they make. Until he said that he did not understand why this was being blown out of proportion. And I stepped into it, simply advising that don't be saying that at this time, my brother, because people are sensitive to those comments. And so when you do that, people will think that you do not care. That is, we should say, like, didn't take it, and we have not taken any issue with him. But, you know, he's a very hardworking doctor. He sacrifices for the hospital. Does not mean that if he makes such an, unfortunate remark about incident, we shouldn't caution him and draw his attention. Let us pray.
I think we are losing. Yes. The connection is...
Can you hear?
Yes, I can hear you now. The connection, there was a bit of a break in there.
The CEO was dismissed because of negligence engagement. It had nothing to do with the death of 31-year-old Salman. A 3-member committee has set up to investigate that death. And when the minister talked about something that could have been done when he spoke of the absence of ventilators, look, again, Elton, let's take our time. The gentleman, Dr. Valentine, explained that they did not have enough ventilators at the red zone. And so when we are told that the gentleman was referred from a private hospital in a very critical condition, the minister that investigating the 3-member set up should also even look at the practices at these private hospitals. That he was referred at a very, in a very critical condition. And when they saw his condition, they didn't have an available bed at the ICU. But when we went to the ICU first before we came to the red zone. And at the ICU, we were made to understand that they have a mobile ventilator at the ICU. So when we got down and the Dr. Valentine was, explaining to the minister that they did not have a ventilator, the minister simply asked him that, but when we were at the ICU, they told us they have a mobile ventilator. Why didn't you mobile ventilator? In the meantime, take care of the patient. And that's when Dr. Valentine said that by the time they requested for it, the gentleman had, they used a medical term, arrested or something.
Right.
He had passed.
Right.
So it is not as if we went there to put him on the spot, to attack him, to, discipline him. No, it was just a briefing the minister was given. And in the process of the briefing, he asks questions as and when he deems fit to ask questions. And as for the altercation, it was advice given him not to say that the matter is being blown out of proportion, which unfortunately he didn't think, it was appropriate for us to say that to him. And that's when the minister said that, look, and if you won't take from us, can you imagine how you would treat the other people who come here? Because we are not arguing with you. We are simply telling you that don't say that, because people sensibilities are hurt here. So don't say that. That's all. And after that, nothing has happened to him. So what exactly does the GMA has to apologize for being free advice and the advice being rejected? And supposed to apologize for? I don't understand.
All right, let me allow Dr. Salome final words on this matter, because clearly both gentlemen agree that cool heads must prevail so that we find a solution to this matter.
Absolutely.
Dr. Salome.
Honorable MP started off saying it was not questioned, but at the end, listening to his last two statements, he repeated that he was questioned. There were questions asked the gentleman. And I am saying, could they, in his sober reflection, could they have asked to go out of that public eye and all those cameras over and ask this same and have this same conversation? Again, in his cool moments, could they have asked to sit at their boardrooms, whatever briefing is the only emergency can be given? Beyond that, he was shouting at the man. And the fact that the person does not agree with you and he was calmly speaking to you does not necessarily mean that he's refusing. He wants to explain to you why. Because remember, hospitals are dynamic environments. The fact that 4 ventilators are full today does not mean that they will not be empty tomorrow because patients have either recovered or died. So the fact that there was transport ventilator at the top, at the time you have now arrived, when something has happened 24 hours or more later, does not mean that transport ventilator was available at that time. And so if you want us to be calm and go, these questions you are asking, what do we want? You must also admit that how you spoke to him at that time. In fact, the right thing probably he should have done was to decline comments because he would have been breaching patient confidentiality. But I'm sure that will also be interpreted that he was being disrespectful. And so he did you a great service by doing the best to explain. Again, the doctor never said, and I have listened to the audio many times, Elton, you can play that part. He never said that the patient's death was being blown out of proportion like you are trying to purport. He said the issue in the sense that if you didn't go to that post that originated and got this issue viral, the person was even commending the emergency staff at a point. He had actually counseled them. And I heard the minister asking the question about communication. He said he had counseled these people. And intubating a patient is a process where you have to counsel patients, take them through, speak to the relatives about the possibilities, the prognosis of this case, and how it may or may not progress. So he did all that. And so he did not expect the issue to go where it went and be blown out of proportion, where people are attacking his person. The same way you say people should be spoken to in a certain way, the gentleman also deserves that sensitivity, respect, and honor that you also expect to be given to the regular patient, yourself, myself, and every human being involved. So I think we can all sit around the table and solve the systemic issues. And I think there are better ways than going there with a camera and going around and it's creating a certain antagonistic posture to health workers.
Because this was
we can work together and make the issues, solve problems without necessarily putting them on camera.
Dr. Salome, I was saying that this obviously was not a formal visit to the hospital, rather a surprise visit as we've been made to understand.
Well, you can surprise people, and we've done some. There are even what we call mystery client shopping. You can send people, gather the necessary reports, and then you sit afterwards, after what you found, and say, I have come to your facility. Where are you? Let's meet in your boardroom. These are my findings, even pictures or videos and others. Explain to me why this and this is so. This is that is due. And you can punish people even right there in the boardroom. It doesn't have to be at that emergency and all that went on. He cannot deny that the man feels threatened. He cannot deny that the man has been abused on social media too. He cannot deny that the man's competence was called to question in a very public and demeaning way, which I think, and he, Honorable, was also shouting at him, telling him if this is what he's doing, this. You don't even know. How do you extrapolate and claim that this is what he's been treating patients? Who has reported him for that purpose, that behavior before?
So what's the way forward for you?
It is a wrong basis to assume. We can't extrapolate that way.
Dr. Solomon, what's the way forward the best way forward for you? What would be that?
The best way forward is if he is saying calm heads should prevail, let's all sit around the table. Let us identify the systemic issues and see how we can solve them rather than trying to pin it on innocent people who are putting in their best shift under very trying conditions, which are affecting people's mental health because they watch people die when they have skills and don't have the tools to work on them. So it is not simple being a health worker, and the stress and what people go through on a daily basis trying to do this. You should check what's happening in European countries where many people have left the health field and is leading to shortages for which doctors and others are leaving the country to fail over there because of the trauma that they've suffered. So please, we can solve the same problem. Let's change that methodology and approach. And where we all need to be calm, if he is demanding calmness, I expect him to do same, and we all sit around the table and solve the problems. There are many places, and it's not only TTH. So let's solve the problems. And I hope Minister MP himself, I hope he is preparing to get some 10 ventilators over there, and not that this has been discussed and all that. And I hope he himself, being his constituency, is working to provide some water and other things that the hospital needs as soon as possible. We will join him to inaugurate those things when it's ready. Thank you.
And the doctors who are threatening industrial action because of this, would you advise them to hold on to it because the grounds may not be fertile for such a move now that talking is ongoing?
Well, no talking is ongoing. Nobody has reached out, to the best of my knowledge. We are also here. We are waiting to hear from our colleagues who are the ones on the ground. And whatever decision they take, we will support them. There's a meeting going to happen soon, and we will wait for what they decide. And if there's any approach for us to talk, yes, we will talk. But they are the ones on the ground. We will hear from them and advise ourselves when we get to that bridge.
Dr. Salome, thank you so much for your time this afternoon on this. Honorable Alhassan, any final words?
Well, let me thank you, Elton, and your team, and also thank Dr. Salome for the engagement. It's been for me edifying, and I think that is the way to go. The point I just want to reiterate is the fact that, look, we should let cool heads, prevail. The issues are varied. There is the issue of mismanagement of the hospital that has led to the, surprise visit of the minister, and for which the minister decided after his visit to relieve the CEO of his position. And the CEO is not the same Dr. Valentine who you see in the video in the altercation with the minister, which simply had to do with an advice offered him not to refer to the death of 31-year-old Salman as an issue being blown out of proportion because of the sensibilities of the families. I mean, we will engage further, and I'm sure that at the end of it all, we'll all understand that the intentions are the same, and the intention is to make the hospital work better and provide better healthcare to the people of Tamale and beyond. We are not intending to scapegoat anybody, and we just want that collaboration that will ensure that the people get the best from the hospital. And remember, all of this started when they started the campaign that the hospital must be fixed. And that is the intention of the minister, no other ulterior motive, but just to fix the hospital so that we can get the best. Let's continue to talk. I have received, information that no doctors at the hospital have issued a statement, but I do not know your sources, and I don't intend to question that.
Okay.
But I would like you to do some further, digging as to where this particular statement is coming from, and if there's any doctor at the hospital that is willing to speak to the statement that you have made reference to. I am aware that there was a meeting today, and part of the discussion was to look at how to welcome the health committee that had planned a visit to the hospital tomorrow, Thursday.
Okay.
And it had really nothing to do with an intended strike to be declared soon.
I just want to find out, are you aware whether a new CEO has been appointed to head the hospital?
No, but I do know that the CEO was directed to hand over to one Dr. Power.
Okay. And then finally, if I let you go, as a friend of the northern region, I'm curious to ask. The last time I traveled on the Yendi-Chiriponi road, it was in a bar state. Now, the road is in your hands. I'm wondering what you are doing about it.
Well, I can assure you that it is one of the priority roads that we intend to do. Myself and my minister only a couple of days ago were in the north. We went to visit the Yana and took permission from him to visit a bridge that is currently being constructed on the Wapuli Road. If you went beyond, towards Charpone, I'm sure you know Wapuli.
Right.
And the road from Wapuli all the way to Charpone is that bad. And sometimes during the rainy season, communities, especially during the rainy season, communities are cut off completely. So we fast track work on some of these bridges before the rainy season, so that even if the roads are not done before the rainy season, communities will not have to endure several days of being cut off from the other parts of the country this time around. So it is one of the priority projects of His Excellency President Mahama, and my minister has already visited the area and intend to ensure that it is done.
Thank you so much, Alhassan Suhini, Member of Parliament for Tamale North, and of course, Deputy Roads and Highways Minister. Folks, we'll be out. There's some development at the ongoing ECOWAS meeting. The Foreign Affairs Minister, Samuel Okudzeto Ablakwa, is about to address the media on some measures relating to the acquisition of Ghana passport. We will take you live to the venue when he is ready for that to happen. I understand that the minister is just about speaking to the media on the on passport. I will take you live to that place. My colleague Blazer Soga is on standby for that particular development. When the feed is up and running, I will take you live there shortly. But there are more stories on myjoyonline.com. We've got interesting stories. But as we heard from Alhassan, somebody has been asked to be in acting position at the Tamale Teaching Hospital following the dismissal of the CEO. The Ghana Medical Association, they are strong and resolute in what they describe as government decision, or the minister's decision not to follow due process in the dismissal of the CEO of the hospital. They describe it as an affront to due process and abuse of power by the Honorable Minister. Doctors at the hospital, we are told, are holding a meeting. The GMA, the mother body, says that they will stand by whatever decision they come up with after their meeting, because they are also unhappy with the way the CEO has been dismissed and the way the matter relating to the medical consultant at the emergency, as an emergency unit, was handled by the team that led by the health minister that visited the Tamale Teaching Hospital. Now, we'll take you live to the Minister of Foreign Affairs when that feed is ready. Perhaps it will be a good time to say goodbye to you here on the pause. Whatever you are up to in the hours ahead, I hope it's profitable. When that feed is ready, we'll take you live to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. My name is Elton Bobby. Have a good evening and take care.